late, but we're here as promised, unlike some other leagues that we know. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Inside the Walls podcast. Alongside my partner in crime, Matt Patton, live in Omaha. And, of course, the commissioner of the NAL. We found him. He's not MIA. He's here. He's here. Oh, well, now he's getting interrupted by his family. So time out. But anyways, Todd Walkenhorst is here with us, too. So
they don't never need anything until,
Hey, we're live, guys. I need something now, Dad.
I need the broadcast studio light, the live on out there so they can see it. But no, so I missed whatever you said. I apologize if you were talking to me.
Oh, I was just saying that we found our commissioner. He's not MIA. He's right here.
No, but that might not be a bad strategy. I'll tell you, there's moments, but no, I mean, it's fun. It's unfortunately part of this business. I've told you guys before, if everything goes really well, they really don't need a commissioner, to be honest with you. Everybody in charge, it'd be nice and easy, or they could have anybody do it. But, it's part of the deal. And I'm sure you got some questions about it. I'm sure the fans got some questions about it. And we try to deliver as much of it as we can in real time. But, we can extrapolate on it and talk about it today.
My co-host of my other podcast host chiming in that, hey, a commissioner in person, that's rare.
I'll let you guys make the jokes.
I'm good at it. Matt's kind of dry humor, but
it's not funny. I've been around Matt. He's not that funny.
No, I'm not funny at all. Yeah. No.
To the people who are listening, we're going to have a lot of viewers here because, of course, there's some news that broke this week in the National Arena League. And some interesting things that are happening in a certain courtroom that we might be getting into hold. So I know there's going to be a lot of people saying how the NAL is this, bad NAL, look at NAL. But one thing I can say, because I know some of these people are watching, at least we're not worrying about if our goalposts are painted yellow. So
no, some are, some aren't. That's, I mean, again, I'll leave that to you guys. We do have the goalpost. It's we try to do the best we can. There's some things. I mean, we got some things we got to improve on. There's no doubt about it. But I will say, in the last couple of weeks, a lot of people have learned my name, so that's been fun. Learned how to contact me on the internet, so that's fun too. So, I'm getting a fan base apparently.
Hey, you're not doing a good job unless you have haters.
I just started doing a good job apparently. So so which one, you threw a couple things out there, where'd you want to start?
Well, first off, Matt had a good question about the recent news about Oklahoma, so let's start on that topic first about the Flying Aces.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so as we talk about this, like we said, people are going to say what they want, but with the recent announcement of Oklahoma going dormant, what is the goal of that? To give team ownership a chance to build relationships in Enid with the intention of them returning to continue playing in 2025?
So I'll go ahead. I'll probably share more than I should here. I'll go into the process of that. And this is where it gets frustrating because we are being judged in real time, I guess, with anybody with the internet connection or who get on the internet, and you have to make some decisions on what to do, right? And everybody's like, oh, you should have folded him. Oh, you should have done your due diligence. You should have done that. I mean, we get that, or they should go to the IFL. That's the answer to everything too. Go to the IFL. Let me kind of explain Oklahoma a little bit. Oklahoma, is a good market. We believe in Enid. We've been in there before with a different league. We were there this year. A lot of things did happen there this year, and I don't like excuses, it all comes down to what you accomplish, but, we did have an ownership change there. I won't talk too much about the ownership before that, but there were some things that were going on there that involved even serious health issues in that family. I don't want to get into privacy too much, but there's a lot to even get that thing going, so, there was a lot that we had to overcome there. And we could have probably maybe at the beginning of the season just said, screw it, and don't do that. But, we've talked throughout, our goal is to try to have opportunities for players and coaches. And do what we can. I mean, it's easy to quit, I guess, you know. And if you look at what we did there, it was a very challenging situation. They did play 4 games, you know, and it may not have been, you know, the best situation. You know, I mean, obviously they're all on the road. We want to play some home games there. Things happened. We were not able to accomplish that. But they did play 4 games. We got players, you know, playing time, and they were competitive. And that was the thing. You know, we did. Everybody knows we pulled a couple teams before the season started. They weren't as viable. Oklahoma, you know, we thought had a path to do it. We wanted to give them every opportunity to do that. And if you follow them, you know, if you're a fan, you know, they're players that were there from the previous Oklahoma Flying Aces, and even the, you know, the team kind of bounced around Dodge City and stuff and been around. That was a good football. There's a lot of good athletes on that team. And, you know, I want to give them opportunities to be able to play. Obviously, it's difficult. You know, it's tough to gel when you're, you know, have that kind of uncertainty and whatnot. But, you know, we want to do everything we could to do that. So to get to your question, yeah, I got 2 options. Do I just, you know, pull the plug and, you know, whatever, throw the baby out with the bathwater? Or, again, it's a market that we think it's something we can still do something with. We have people that want to do something there. We have players and fans that were interested in it. So maybe it won't work, but, you know, it seems like that's in our best interest. I'm not any worse off trying to make that work and see if we can position that for 2025. So that's kind of the philosophy there. I mean, if you just rather we quit on it, you know, I mean, that's easy. You know, I just don't think that's fair to those players, those fans in that market. And again, I'm not going to say it's going to work. We're going to do everything in our power, though, to try and make it work.
Well, you know, in Oklahoma, indoor football is very successful because you look over in the eastern part of the state, Tulsa is thriving with a good fan base. Is there any chance that if Eden doesn't work, maybe relocate the team to probably Oklahoma City or Stillwater to try and get towards a bigger population? Maybe that may be the difference, or a bigger venue, or is there any possibility of that, or we concentrate on Enid?
Everything's on the table. Obviously, you know, the difficult part of this business is it's a puzzle where you have to find that, you know, secret formula that works, right? And it's not always size of markets. Sometimes the smaller markets are more successful because it's a bigger deal there. And then you have to go and you have to find, you know, it really comes down to arenas and availability and what the arenas are going to cost. And, you know, I mean, there's just so many factors that go into that. But you are correct that, you know, that's a great part of the country. We believe in the Midwest, obviously. We've got teams there, whether it's throughout Oklahoma. That's why we were trying to keep Topeka alive as well. And they may still be on the table. It looks like going forward, we're trying to stay in there as well. You know, it's tough to find good markets, but, you know, if we have to adjust it or add to it or whatever, I mean, we'll consider everything. We're not going to force, you know, square pegs into round holes or whatever. We will go and try to do where we can. And just what I don't want to do is if we do have a possibility for a successful market, I don't want to burn it. Well, maybe we burned it a little bit, unfortunately, but I don't want to leave that market without giving it, you know, every effort that it deserves.
Yeah. One of the questions I had is, you know, you talked a little bit about the process and everything like that. Talk just briefly, and I think maybe you mentioned this once before, about how you guys vet teams when they're coming in, like the vetting process.
Yeah. You know, again, I'll probably be a little more direct and honest here than I should be, but, you know, I think it's fair though. You know, we have criteria, obviously. There is financials we're looking for, which doesn't always necessarily go with the competence of an owner, or just because I have a lot of money. I'll give you another example. Just because I have a lot of money doesn't mean they're prepared to lose money either. You know, sometimes it's tough to, you know, get all those things squared off. So we do have a process. Now, it's not a secret, okay, that it was probably a little more laxed, you know, for 2024. Not gonna blame other people. I did not come into this role until I think November, you know, so all the teams were already in place. But let's be honest and look back at what, you know, everybody was dealing with. If you don't remember, during the off season, you know, obviously the NAL, you know, changed, you know, in team membership. The CIF changed in team membership, and you know, we had, you know, it's always off season's always a time where, you know, there's movement. There's other leagues that want to participate or whatever. And you go back to our early podcast. This was a exceptional year as far as changes go. I mean, a lot was going on. We can kind of see that now. And, remember, a bunch of those teams that are in another league were in this group. So, the NAL, when they formed back together, really had to go and decide, what do we want to do? Do we just want to, in their opinion, again, I don't want to talk too much about other leagues. A couple of those other leagues that were out there taking teams were not viable options. And I'll let you guys decide if they were or were not. But at this point, I think they probably made some decent decisions as far as that goes. So, the long-term plan was, hey, let's try to stay steady this year. We knew it was going to be rocky. Let's get through it, build our base, as the National Arena League, and hopefully be a good landing pad. Some of those teams are going to move leagues. That's true. I'll just put it that way. We know that already. We've heard from teams in multiple leagues. I think it's pretty obvious. I think you're seeing there are owners not happy with their situations right now. So there's going to be a lot of movement for 2025. The vetting process obviously will be different going into that. It's going to be a different landscape and market, I believe, in 2025. So, the NAL, I don't want to say they're desperate, but, they wanted to continue. They believe in the product, and so they did everything they could to try to forge forward, and was really a difficult situation with all the realignment.
Well, we do have one question, and let's just talk about. We know what league we're talking about. Michael Hilliard. Will the NAL welcome any teams from this version of the AFL if in case something drastic happens for the league and teams are available?
The National Arena League will talk to any teams. Anybody that's interested. We are talking to teams already, and NDAs and whatnot. We won't discuss what leagues they happen to be in. So we have talked to multiple teams. I'm not going to put any numbers out there, but based on what you see from the NAL right now, if I thought this was the future of the league, what you're seeing right now, I probably wouldn't be wasting my time here. I got better things to do than to run a 5-team league or a 4-team league or whatever it could be. I see pretty good situation coming for 2025. We've had a lot of interest, and again, we've done a lot of things internally, which a lot of fans aren't going to know, in our operations, in our officiating, in our football operations, that I think is going to make it attractive for teams to come here. So remember, we've talked. I love what the IFL's done and is doing. What Todd Tyron's done over there, and that whole group that's been around for a long time. Great. I love that. We have a little different business model. I don't think it's a secret between the two leagues that it's a different flavor for the ownership, and there's leagues that fit better for different teams. And teams that might be looking for a home next year, I think would be looking at both leagues. And I think both leagues could be adequate for people that are looking for homes next year. So that's really our goal, is to continue what we believe in and how those budgets operate while still maintaining, professional football. I've said it doesn't really, the amount that you get paid doesn't make you professional. It's what we do on the field, how we present the product. Is it rocky this year? Yes. But we do believe that we're going to be able to continue doing that. At least that's our goal. And I actually been saying all year, I'm looking forward for the season to be over, because I could do more work during the off season, improving this league, than I can really during the season. So I'm looking forward to get the games over, to be honest with you. But that's just kind of the executive part of me as far as this goes. Football part of me loves the games.
I like the drama, though.
And I think I've told you before, that's actually how I got into this business. It's like, it's kind of like a train wreck. It's fun. It's watching it all the time, So, I could just sit there on my keyboard and go, oh yeah, you suck, and oh, you guys, do this. That's easy. Trust me, we know the problems. We're not unaware of the problems. That's not the hard part of this business.
Mm-hmm.
The more difficult part is finding solutions moving forward, making viable franchises, giving opportunities to players, and trying to grow this thing. And again, beginning of the year, we talked about anybody that comes in here. I would have loved for 16 viable franchises in this industry to come in. If 16 strong franchises came in, or 20, or however many between all the leagues, that would be a great problem for us to deal with. One, we would have been figuring out how can we coexist with that. Two, I would have been asking our people, why did we not identify all those markets that needed teams? And then, we would just go forward with that. What would be worse is if you went in and had bad situations in those markets and burn those markets. We talked about that. You go back to our podcast, I think it was in February. That was, what's always bad in this business. We see that every year. I'm not calling out anybody specific, but I mean, that's the issue with this industry is we see that every year. It makes it difficult for everybody.
Well, I agree, but again, I love drama, and one thing everyone says, "Where are you looking for the NFL season?" I'm not looking forward to the NFL season. I'm looking to indoor arena football drama off season. That's when all the crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a pretty good streak going of not folding teams during the year, so I mean, they got that going. So we do have a little more excitement when it comes to that. We kind of got the death pool going for the playoffs, But
yeah, they don't have a lot of money. They don't have enough. They don't have a lot of money. They only got like $9.6 million.
No, they do it for fun. I worked in that league for 7 years. They're just there for the love of the game. Trust me.
True. Well, apparently, right now you are the fan. You have fans. They appreciate you. I'm reading all the chat rooms. A commissioner with the plan, and Todd we trust. Like they like you. See,
I got a lot of family, so I appreciate them all getting on here today.
I think the best one is this one though, Jim.
Yeah.
reality TV show in the off season.
This is I mean, you can't write a lot of this stuff. There's no doubt about it. But again, trust me, our goal is not the drama. I would love to not have drama. And the reality TV shows, if I, put out a, very drama-free season, and that is our goal, but again, we're trying to get, as many opportunities out there for players. I mean, it's really about the player. I hate when we lose teams because of players and coaches losing opportunities. I mean, that's the worst part of it. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked a little bit about, we had Topeka earlier this year. We had North Texas, whatever. Is this situation with Oklahoma similar to the Topeka situation, if you can talk about it? Or is Topeka more of a kind of still really up in the air type thing? Or,
we are both, both markets are viable in my opinion, and we will be exploring them, and we have people interested in them for 2025. So we will go forward with the due diligence, the analysis, and whatnot, and see. I'd love to see both of them in the league next year. Again, it's getting the right person in the right place, and and making sure that everything works. If it doesn't work, we'll try to find them a different market. There's a lot of similar markets like that. But I think those are really, I don't want to say there's a prototype market, but those are really nice markets, as far as population size goes and arena sizes go. It fits really well. And trust me, the more teams I could get near teams I have right now, obviously, I mean, this isn't rocket surgery. I cut down on that travel, that's beneficial as well. So we really do need to concentrate on the footprint and make that, more financially beneficial for our members.
I was going to mention that this league is from Greensboro all the way to Idaho. That's not around the corner. That's a long distance haul for both organizations. And you got Sioux City and Omaha right in the middle, and you got Colorado. That's a little bit on. They're not really on the island, but that's still a good distance away.
This would not. I mean, this would not be sustainable long term. I mean, the footprint we have right now, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, that's definitely something we need to improve.
You answered what I was about to ask. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if that was the end game, just bet the unders.
But speaking of the league right now, with the 5 teams that are playing and the competition that's been played on the field, what is your mid-season report on what you've seen as the commissioner for the competition on the field between the teams?
The silver lining of it, again, I wish we didn't have the drama, because for the most part, the games have been very competitive and, entertaining. We've had a couple blowouts, but for the most part, we got a lot of parity in this league. And that's something that maybe losing two of those early teams, maybe that concentrated some of the talent. So we did get some of that parity. I mean, that's not the best way to get there, but the games have been pretty good. And even I think Omaha's undefeated, but I believe, ask Matt because he's at every game. I believe Omaha's trailing in the fourth quarter of at least three of those games, if not all four.
Yeah.
So, it's not like that we have a team that's running away with this league. I think any team is capable in this league. And, and so that's a good thing. We don't, I mean, I got to look at the records, but I don't consider any of those teams doormats. And even Oklahoma, like I said, they had not won a game. They're being Omaha, that game last week, almost till halftime, and was tied with under a minute to go in the game. So that was your 0-4 team. So as far as on-field play, I've actually been really happy with that. I spent a lot of time with officiating too because I've got background in that. There's always going to be bad calls, trust me. But as a whole, our officials are grading out better this year too. And I got to thank our director of officiating, Craig Hessler, who, has put a lot of time into that. And all of our officials. People don't know that. You get paid per game. That's nice and everything. And previous leagues, that's all they did. They came, got their check, and did it. I got these guys. They're on our huddle with the game film. They're getting graded every week. They are spending time watching. They're watching clinic tapes and training tapes. And that's a long-term plan to improve that because it's no secret there's been bad officiating at every level, but I mean, you can always improve. But indoor, it's a different game and the rules are different. If you only give these guys, 5 or 6 games a year to officiate it, it's tough to do it with that few reps. So I'm happy to see some of that improvement. And we've got officials that want to get better at their craft because, obviously most of those guys do outdoor as well. So, I'm happy about that too. So there's been a lot of good things in the football operations that I've been really happy about. But again, some of that gets overshadowed. Some of that, casual fans aren't going to notice. But, that's things that I think our league's going to bring.
As a fan, I've noticed that the officiating has actually gotten better as the season progressed. Kevin Podany brought this up in the chat. Just want to throw that out there. I know the answer to this question already, but he says, will Rebound Nets be back for next season or stay for next season? I'm pretty sure I know the answer to that question. And then if the answer is what I think it is, do you think that is a deterrent for some teams having to have that cost?
That's actually a fair question. The answer would be yes. They will be back. I mean, I have not heard anybody that would propose to change that. Now, that being said, it's something that's crossed my mind. There is a cost to that, obviously. Does that add enough, especially with our model, does that add enough to the game to have that cost for every member team? It's a little significant, to be honest with you, because you have to install them every week. And, you have to have, some of these arenas are union members, so you're paying union wages and you have to go through all that. Some it's a one-time cost, but you have to get motors, sometimes to have them, whatever. So I mean, I've played with that. Is it worth it? And I haven't had anybody really pushing back on it yet, though. I think it adds to the game. What I do want to see, if we are going to go forward with the Nets, which again I have no reason to believe that we will not. Hopefully, we can get our coaches to understand the values of kickers, and more competitive games, more teams will do that. So we use the nets more because I think that's, I hate when the nets are there, we put them in, we spend the money, and then the ball doesn't touch the net the whole game. You're like, okay, that was dumb, but I think between that, we may have to look at the ball for some reason. I don't think it's the ball because we had kickers in the previous leagues that would hit over the end board all the time. Maybe some adjustments on the nets. I'm not an arena guy by this is the first time I've actually dealt in, with the nets. I'm a little curious why they're so high. I mean, just beyond they always have been, why they're so high off the backboard. I wouldn't even mind bringing those down a little bit. I wouldn't mind bringing the crossbar on the goal post down to the IFL level and the CIF at 10 feet instead of 15. So I mean, I think there's things we could do to maintain that, keep that excitement in there, and maybe improve on it. I don't think we have to do it exactly the same way because that's how it always was in the AFL. But that's stuff that will obviously be discussed during the offseason, though.
Another question I have is because of how the season started, we knew what the postseason was going to be set at 4 teams. Has that changed? Is everyone going to get in, or are we still sticking with that 4 teams?
Yeah, that's under discussion right now. I'll be honest, I believe we'll probably go to 2. That's the I got 5 and you put 4 in. I mean that, I don't know the value of that. That'll be up to the owners, but I'll have a final answer with the next couple days on that. But I would probably lean towards that, unfortunately. I mean, I'd rather have 5 rounds of playoffs, right? Because that's the best games of the year. But I don't have the numbers to do that.
Best of 7 series.
Yeah, well, I have thrown that out there too. I mean, that'd be kind of fun too. Let's just play best of 3 or something, or whatnot, or challenge some other leagues or so. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about challenging other leagues. Cat of the bag. Good segue there, Kamish. I'm going to let you do all the talking. There's a lot of social media law professors out there that think they know what's going on, but the rumors that the court in North Georgia District Court, Judge Jones, I think it is, did file it. So that happened. That's legit. There are records that show that. So
what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking
about. The injunction.
Oh, West Texas you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can't talk specifically, obviously, about the litigation because that's ongoing. Right. But I'll discuss what's out there, obviously, in the public. That's been, in court filings and, is out there already. Obviously, there's a league affiliation agreement. The National Arena League and West Texas have a difference of opinion in what it says, apparently. And it's gone through the adjudication process. So, again, I can't really comment specifically on it, but as you said, I've heard that it was without merit. Well, a judge didn't agree. Apparently, they did put in a injunction at this point. And that's the business part of this. I will say, pretty sure all the leagues actually have league affiliation agreements. This isn't something specific that the NAL just came up with. There are reasons for it. Now that's a whole nother discussion, and we could have that. This is in the form right now, but are they necessary? What do they help? Are they? That's a fair discussion, but that's not what's at place here. There's a contract. I mean, if anybody's ever signed a contract for anything, you're not doing that for show. I mean, there's reasons you do signatures or whatever, and and things like that are adjudicated in court systems and on social media. So I guess I'll just kind of leave it at that, and you're kind of see the results.
What's the standard league affiliation agreement right in the industry? 3 years?
I'll be careful on that because I'm not sure if there's necessarily a standard.
No,
I think it can vary, obviously depending on the teams. Mm-hmm. And ironically, I wasn't commissioner when that one was signed. The commissioner of the league actually is with the other team right now. So they probably actually have more, knowledge of what was in that, that they agreed to or why they agreed to that, to be honest with you, than I do. But, there's reasons for that. I mean, it's usually longer than 1 year, just because you need to have some consistency. You got to be able to plan. You got to be able to bring other teams in based on what you think your travel and your footprint is. And, you put in some marketing to promote, your league and whatever. So again, that there's reasons for it. I'm pretty sure every league has it, as far as I know. I can't think of any of the major ones that don't. And, that's just part of the business, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at that.
And also this is not the first time this has actually happened in the history of the industry. There's a famous case 10 years ago between the Ironman and the Edge versus the CIF, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and I was not involved in the league at that time, but yeah, I mean it's basically the same thing. And again, there's reasons for it. This isn't anything new. I guess about the only other thing I will kind of you see on social media was, again, I try not to read it, but was the timing of it. Oh, they waited till the last minute, and that's not the case. I mean, the timing of the judicial process, I don't know, best way to explain this. You're not violating the agreement until you actually start playing. So you literally can't do the court process till the games start. It's not like you are, waiting for it. It just, there's no violation of the agreement till then. So, I'm pretty sure West Texas was well aware of that, was in place and whatnot. And, again, it plays out and the judicial system will take care of that either way. And right or wrong, whoever, that's what they get paid big bucks and get black robes for. So
they're expensive too per hour.
Oh, they're nice. Oh yeah. I wish I got those rates. Trust me. I've seen the bills.
That's one thing. That's one thing I look at any type of, like, my alma mater right now is in a legal suit with the ACC, and I'm seeing all these court orders. I'm like, what does this even mean?
Yeah, they don't care. They're cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Yeah, get that clock running, right?
Yeah.
But in the overall landscape, the rumors how it said it didn't happen. It's all just people blowing smoke. There is actual documentation out there for the public to see. Just look it up. So
yeah, I mean, it's out there. I mean, it's again, I'm not going to comment beyond what's out there in the public, but it's out there. It's easy to find. You can use that Google. You get a pretty good overview on it. You can find the documents. Yeah, you can find the documents. I wouldn't go by anybody's postings for legal advice. I wouldn't take legal advice from me. I mean, I don't have a law degree, so I wouldn't take it from. I mean, I had some kid. I assume he's a kid. I hope he's a kid. Email me or text me on, through the Facebook's the league page. How can you do this to these people or whatever? And it sounded like he had a pretty solid argument. And then I go and look him up, and he works at Burger King. So I mean, I don't tell him how to flip burgers. I mean, I don't know. So got to take some of those things with a grain of salt.
So switching maybe to a more positive, more happy thing to talk about. The National Arena League has the two longest running indoor or arena professional football franchises in the country, in the Omaha Beef and the Sioux City Bandits. And this week is actually the first part one of the I29 rivalry, a big rivalry for Sioux City and Omaha. What does it mean for the National Arena League to have, number one, those two teams, and then number two, that rivalry take place in the National Arena League?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Two longest running teams at indoor football. I know there's arena, so it's a little different, but for indoor football, that's a two. Omaha's 1, Sioux City's 2. Sioux City's on 24 years, Omaha's on 25. Randy Cash, who's the statistician out of Sioux City, he's awesome. I mean, this guy's been doing it forever down there, and he helps the league with the stats overall as well. And I believe I gotta go look it up. I believe they've played 98 games all time, and Omaha leads 50-48. So I mean, this is a rivalry that is close, and over the years, there have been bad Sioux City teams. There have been bad Omaha teams, and it don't matter in that game. It's the cliche, throw the records out. I think one year Omaha had one win, and it was against Sioux City, right? These two teams play, it just doesn't matter. It always goes down to the end, it seems like. It always seems like they're playing for something, too. But it's two great fan bases. They're 90 miles apart. They do tend to travel to each other. In fact, because of idiosyncrasies with our league this year, they're playing back-to-back weeks, so that's something to throw on top of it. Omaha, then in Sioux City, and they get fired up, and that's really what this business should be, And so, as far as the NAL goes, I think it's great to have a cornerstone of those two teams to build on, and. I think they're good examples of franchises for other teams to want to be. And, both of those owners, between Don Belson and and Ricky Burtz will, mentor and help owners, build those franchises. So I think that helps a lot. And hopefully, that's something that we're able to build on as we expand this league as well. Carolina's got a long history, so they fall into that boat too. I need a rival near them so they have a little bit more of that. They used to have it, but things have shooken up a little bit. I'd love to give them something back like that, but obviously the rivalries are good. When we realigned or form these leagues, we did lose some good rivalries, and that was the worst part of it. But no, that's probably one of the tops in this business. And if you don't usually watch games, those are the games to watch. Is the next 2 weeks those teams play each other, and and a lot of those players have played each other throughout the years. I can't believe how many players that played 10 or 12 years of indoor football, and are on those teams and play for both teams too, and they sometimes get fiery as well. I mean, those teams will go at it. I mean, I was actually on the phone earlier with both of the owners, just reminding them of that, and they're taking all the precautions. But I'm just like, you guys play each other both weeks, zero tolerance. I mean, if there's anything, obviously we're leagues gonna have to take over on that, but that's the type of rivalry it is. It's should be fun and should be a good game, and I'm looking forward to it. And again, if you watch one game this year, I'd watch one of those two.
Is there any adjustments to the remaining of the schedule coming?
There's still going to be. We got a couple Oklahoma games that we are moving a couple games around, and that's again easier said than done based on arena availability, players, all that. I was hoping to have that out today. Hopefully, we'll have that out tomorrow.
Okay. So tomorrow. So I got to be on the notes.
Best I can do. It's the best I can do. We'll get to it. We'll hopefully, we're trying not to change games week of. That's not good for travel planning and whatever.
David Peterson asks, will teams with the best records have home field in the playoffs? You mentioned they might be down to just two teams.
Yeah, it would still be home field. And we do have a little, because of our, way the season's gone, we may not have even number of games. So, it'll be win percentage of league games. Will be the rankings on that. And, again, I think it's going to be two teams.
All right.
And then with that, also the other question, I guess, that would come along with that is there, I know originally the plan was, I believe the weekend of June 22nd was going to be the league championship game. Is that still
that'd be the weekend
up
before,
in the air?
Whatever the first round was, we won't throw an extra buy-in.
Okay.
Just it doesn't make sense to hold players and not play and house them and all that fun stuff too. Players want to play, so unless we have to move a game or something, some regular season games because of the Oklahoma deal, that'll all be outlined in the updated another version of the schedule. But my anticipation it will be actually a week earlier now if we only had one round of playoffs.
So when does I know this is a stupid question. When's preparation for next season begin for you as a commissioner? Right now, or?
Yeah, I mean, everything we do is, for the long-term viability, so hopefully some things we still do this year help us in the future. As I said, obviously a big issue. We need to, figure out what this landscape's going to look like, as the dust settles. We will talk to other teams. We do plan on expanding. Again, we cannot stay at 5. I think that's pretty obvious. We don't plan to stay at 5, and we believe that we should be able to increase that by a decent number of teams just based on the interactions we've already had and the interest that we've had. So that's the biggest part. We will have league meetings already scheduled in July, so we'll be working on, 2025, just a couple weeks after we wrap up 2024.
What's the goal? What's the good number, you think? 10, 12?
I don't get as focused on the number as opposed to having, hopefully this time, quality franchises.
Okay.
They're viable. And the number maybe doesn't necessarily mean as much as the location as well. But I'd like to be, I'll take 8 good teams before I take 12 that I don't know about. I would rather deal with that. But I would like to be in the 8 to 10 range. But, I do anticipate better vetting. Again, there were reasons why some things happened this year in the industry, but we do have some things in place that will correct that already. It's already been agreed upon in the league on how we hold teams accountable and do some of that stuff. And again, we did kind of operate without some seatbelts and some safety harnesses that we normally would, just with the way things went down in this season.
And so with the discussions that you guys have had with other teams, obviously we can't get into any specifics or anything like that, but have any of them expressed any concerns about the cost of the net structure?
Yeah, that's not been anything that's come up yet. So I'd like to be able to, make that easier for them. There may be some nets available for purchase, so, maybe if we do this right, we can coordinate that. But yeah, that's really hasn't been the piece yet that anybody's really got hung up on. But it's a legitimate question. I mean, depending on where you get them, I mean, they could be anywhere from 10 to 30K, to get them and ship them and give them to your venue, and then putting them together. And despite what you think, they don't just necessarily plug in and play. You have to kind of do some modifications to them to make them work in your venues and whatnot too. So there is a little bit that goes on, to make that happen.
I think there's going to be a lot available this offseason.
Yeah, and the more the better. It's a hopefully buyer's market.
Maybe from the certain team that's across the river from where Matt goes to games in the weekends. I had a question that was sent to me from a colleague of mine. You probably might know him. He used to do the old AFI radio back in the day, like in the early 2000s. He sent me a question to ask you, what is the future, not just a 1-year plan, but what is a 3 to 5 year plan that can be constructed realistically now as a league to just not benefit the NAL, but benefit the entire industry?
That's a great question. And that's really the mindset we need to have. And again, goes into why I have league affiliation agreements, because you want people that could commit to, multiple years to go through that process. But, if you go back to, again, our early in the season podcast, I think you remember we'll be honest, NAL needed work. I mean, it's no secret what this league's been through the last few years, and a lot of that was to rebuild that foundation. And a lot of that, again, is internal. And really, we need to, to have that 3 to 5 year plan is to make it a viable place, an attractive place for teams to come to. So a lot of that is on the business side, right? We have to help teams, find places to get revenue. And that's where, again, you guys talk about having, a couple of longest running franchises and in the industry. That really helps us there. We need to find other sources of revenue. Everybody obviously is talking about, broadcast revenue, or content revenue. And I hate to use the term broadcast revenue because, I mean, I'm not taking any shots here, but we're not going to be on ESPN anytime soon. We're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about, these online platforms. And when I talk about revenue, I mean, we're not talking, NBA money or anything like that. We're talking just extra revenue. Like, it's nice to get some money instead of doing this for free, so monetizing our content in-house, that's stuff that we've talked about, providing, we got Ducon Williams that comes in and does that stuff for us. I mean, he's a funny guy and he's entertaining and it's good stuff, but it's beyond that. We want to be professional. We want to show our brand in a positive light. He does a great job of doing that. He also does a great job of, introducing some of those personalities, some of these coaches and players to you, so, those are all parts of the things that make you work a little bit longer, for the long term. So we just got to make this a very attractive place, both, professionally for football players and coaches and financially for the business owners, to make it work. And then your 3 to 5 year plan plays out.
Michael comes in with a question. We all have seen the pictures and heard the stories of bad dasher boards. What's the NAL's address to player safety?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody will say player safety is first. I don't believe we have any dasher board issues that I know of in this league this year. I have dealt with them in other leagues. I'm not going to say I've ever been above that. But no, we try to, make sure that that's in place. So that's something we've been done well this year. I guess we've had less venues, so it's definitely helped, but that's something that, that's one of our requirements, obviously, is, to have those dasher boards that are, we got application packing, and that's part of it. They need to be, to that standard, whatnot. And to make that happen, the dasher pads have to be on there, but I think we've got pretty good fields in most places. So that's the other safety issue that usually comes up, is the quality of the field itself. Mm-hmm. But right now, that's actually, I actually was kind of surprised by that question because I haven't even really had any safety concerns I know of come up, which I'm glad he asked that question because it kind of actually makes me feel good about that, because that's something we have dealt with in other years in other forms of this league, whether it's CIF or whatever that we dealt with. So, but obviously player safety is always going to be first, especially in this day of age.
Matt?
Will there ever be a time, sometime maybe in the future, where we could see some like league affiliated gear for fans to purchase, to support the National Arena League?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we should get on. Sometimes it's the easy stuff that, you just don't get to. And, not to get too complicated in that too, I got to figure out, if there's a market for it outside of Matt Patton purchasing some. I'm sure that NAL gear would be pretty snazzy. But,
that was selfish. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but right now, I'm not sure how much of a market there is for that. But, we do need to play with some of that stuff, and that gets into the revenue. There's a lot of options for that kind of stuff. And there, I'm not going to lie, there's obviously things we can do better. And some of that falls under that umbrella.
One thing that you got to give credit to the IFL, they found a way to broaden their reach with streaming with Caffeine TV, which is very successful for them. They're reaching a new audience with a lot of that's a gaming platform, a lot of gamers, but strictly just sports content. Is there any future plans of the NAL maybe entering that waters of trying to get extra platforms, especially on Caffeine TV or Rumble or any of the other platforms?
I'll be honest, that really irritates me that the IFL did that, because, between my NFL career and then getting into this, I work in tech and video, and that was actually what I did, a lot of that stuff. And so it irritates me that we're not doing that, that they did it and we didn't. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that they did do that. And obviously it found a platform to do that. I may have to try to reach out and see if I could get some more detailed information, about the actual, reach on that, how many plays there are, what that means revenue wise and all that. If I could find some friendlies there that would love to share that with me, I'm not too proud to ask for that, or copy something that works. I mean, this is a copycat business as well. I mean, if we'd be dumb not to look into things that other people are doing successfully, whether it's that platform specifically or similar. Everybody's been trying to work that platform. I know the CIF at one point had tried a platform that did not work. But that being said, 7 or 8 years ago, and technology changes, exponentially every couple of years, right? You couldn't even people weren't doing internet TV, 8 years ago. So it was a much more challenge then. So it might be easier now, but no, I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't look into that as well. And yeah, I'd like to know more specifically on Caffeine. But I know there's also a lot of similar platforms out there, and it's in our best interest to look at. But what I'd be looking for is, what does that give me as opposed to YouTube by itself? If it's worth doing and whatnot. That'd be the questions, is maximizing that, doing that stuff as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, so Connor Podney drops in a question. He says, and I'm going to make this a twofold question. So, because there's kind of, I know, multiple aspects to this question, because I know I've talked to Ricky Burtz about this before. I think I maybe even talked to you a little bit. But will there or are there broadcast standards for the National Arena League games on YouTube? And then also talk about, because like the narrative on social media is, oh, the team had control over that issue of the streaming and stuff. So talk kind of how much control do the teams have, and then also are there standards?
Yeah, there's a couple different pieces there. Teams do control their own broadcast and streaming. So you are obviously, and again, the technology's changed. I mean, that was something that, 4 or 5 years ago in the CIF, we would have issues with venues having the bandwidth to support a broadcast. For the most part now, that's not an issue. Not going to say it's not anywhere, but for the most part, that, has been taken care of. And again, I'll probably talk about stuff I shouldn't be right now, but the reality of it this year, we do have broadcast standards, right? Again, I got broadcast background. Every team has them. But, sometimes it's a matter of, I'm trying to keep teams playing, so as far as the priorities go, hey, why don't you go spend some more money on these cameras and everything? Yeah, I can't afford to pay the players. Let's pay the players, right? So, I'm not saying it's, as far as the priorities go, that is something that, again, in our vetting, our due diligence, and as we get stronger, overall teams and financials, we will be, working on more. There are things that occur that people probably don't notice. So, and, we got a great partner out in Idaho. Chris Reynolds is out there, and he's new to this level, but he has gone and done, everything they can to make things better. So, if you've noticed, there have been changes on their broadcasts. He did not like the personalities they had on there originally. He made that change himself. Okay. They had graphics that they didn't think were, up to par. There've been changes the last several weeks. They finally got what I think is a very good graphics package. Now, they're smaller. It takes up less of the screen, has an NAL logo on. So a lot of that stuff is going on, whether people notice it or not. So we are always looking at that. Will it be an ESPN, level broadcast? Probably not. That's just, I think that was something that we just saw, that to go in and do a broadcast on network, it's $35,000, $40,000 a game to bring that crew in and get that kind of level of equipment. And when you're still offering it for free, again, you have to recover that expense. So it's a little catch-22 on that, but we try to do the best we can on that, for providing that for free.
Well, we've been on for an hour. Any final words? Any more questions? Send your way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the longest half hour that I've had in a long time.
Well, I got a couple issues to talk about, and you're very transparent, because
I thought you were going to say long-winded. That I made it go long. Yeah. Okay.
I have no comment.
So, but no, I'm glad we were, that we can do that. Yeah, I know people won't like all the answers. And I don't like the answers myself. Some of these, I mean, if anybody thinks we're happy with the way this season is right now, they're, they've misread us, because I'm not happy about it. This is not what I'd want to look like. And, again, I could just sit at home and bitch about it on the internet, I guess, but no, we're going to do everything we can to make this better again. Because, I've worked in the NFL for several years. I've seen players, I want to give that professional opportunity to these guys and help them develop. I mean, I get all that. So anything we can do, it's not for the money. I guarantee you that, it's the passion of this business, and to make it successful for as many people as possible.
Well, I know one thing. The off season was brutal. This season, it felt like it was rushed to get to where we're at. And then you came in, and basically we talked behind scenes, and I can tell that the organization of the NAL right now, the public I don't know how I want to phrase this, but the public thinks what the NAL is, they look at the NAL and think of last year's management.
Sure.
It's like, oh, this is the same league that had this issues happen last year. People got to realize different leadership. There is actually stuff happening behind scenes that never happened last year.
Well,
so
I one of the things I say a lot is my first job, right out of college, I was very fortunate. It was with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was on Marty Schottenheimer's staff, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame as a coach. Probably won't be, but he's about 2 John Elway drives away from being a Hall of Fame coach. But, you know, the thing he would always say to everybody in the organization, walk around, you know, this is a performance-based business, gentlemen, this performance-based business. And bottom line, that's how I've always taken this, you know. I can say anything I want on here, you know. I can say anything we want about our teams, but they keep score. People can see what we do, and that's how we're going to be judged, you know. So, you know, and I don't do a lot of interviews because nobody, you know, I there's no point sitting here talking about what we're going to do. We just need to go do it. You know, I do want to give you some insights. So everybody hopefully feels good about what we're doing. But I'm not going to sit here and blow a bunch of smoke. You know, we're going to go do that stuff. You know, if we don't do it, you know, the words are worthless. So it's performance based. I believe that. You know, our coaches believe that. Our owners believe that. It's a culture change. I'll be honest. You know, I think if you ask our owners, I think I have probably brought something different to the table, you know, good or bad. But, you know, I'm still here. I work at the pleasure of the owner. So that's probably a decent sign for me, I guess. We'll see the off season. You never know. I don't have a long-term contract or anything, but, you know, as long as I'm here and they let me do it, we're going to push forward on that.
Oh, I'm basically here for the owners too. So if they don't want me, they can like, you're done. All right, cool. Take care.
That works, right? You know, I mean, I get a lot more sleep and free time, to be honest, but no, again, it's a passion, and you know, you have to be a little passionate to do this, you know.
Yeah, it's like hitting yourself with a brick wall. Just keep banging your
a
hands.
little bit.
Like, why am I still doing this for? Bam!
There's a season that you say, why am I doing it? This would definitely be one. But again, I think you have to sometimes work through that. You know, you have to work through that. If it was easy, you know, there'd be a lot more people doing it, you know, and it's going to make it more enjoyable and rewarding when we get there.
Matt, any final words there, my friend?
No, I mean, I've seen the stuff going on in the league, and I'm excited about the future of the National Arena League, and I know that you guys are going to put it in the right direction. So, yeah, I look forward to having you on again, maybe in the off season, to give us some of those updates. So,
yeah, hopefully. If I disappear, then you know, then it's probably not good. So, you know, if there's no updates, that's probably not great. So,
right.
No, I look forward to doing it. You know, and again, you know, I mean, the focus. Hopefully, our focus is on the field and the games and the players, and the more that happens, the better job I've done and the better job the league's done, and that's really our goal.
Well, Commissioner, thank you for joining on this show. It was supposed to be only 30 minutes. We went an hour, so welcome to Inside the Walls podcast, where there's no time limit, apparently. To the fans out there, again, comment. Don't blow up his DMs because he'll just look at them like I do. They ask me questions all the time. So what's going on? Oh, okay. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Appreciate it. But
I don't know.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's been episode 144 of Inside the Walls podcast. We will be back next week with another edition. We may have to go back to the Sioux City and Albemarle rivalry and get probably the 2 owners or the 2 coaches, because that's going to be in between the doubleheader between the 2, the longest rivalry in sports. That will be next week. Of course, follow NationalArenaLeague.com. Follow Inside the Walls podcast for all up-to-date information on the National Arena League, and see what Todd does, dropping news here pretty soon. He did mention that the schedule might be tomorrow, might be next day. Perhaps he might disappear like some people do.
We'll work on it.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's Matt. That's the Commissioner. I'm Jim. Episode 144 of Inside the Wall podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.